Good afternoon, everybody. On this Monday, July 7th, 2025, I've got all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. Hope you survived a Monday. Monday in July, that's going to suck at work, but we're here for you. And we got a big night ahead of us with the Bachelor in Paradise premiere. New showrunner, new love, new energy. Golden Bachelors will be there. New location in Costa Rica. Let's see if we can get new ratings better than the last couple abysmal seasons. So we'll have a preview for that. But Ryan Reynolds is in the news. A massive report coming out. Is it credible? I'll let you guys decide. Says he's calling all of the shots in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case. And what does this mean? As we also have an opinion piece coming out in the New York Times, basically calling everybody misogynist who doesn't believe Blake Lively. Yawn. We'll get into that. But Love Island has a recently canceled contestant whose parents are now speaking up in her defense. I'll share what they have to say. And then we're going to continue to cover this bombshell story as Elon Musk says this is the final straw. Oh boy, what does he know? He had all of his, Starlink, big balls bros cracking into the system. Does he know something we don't with regard to the Epstein files? He, of course, is feuding with President Trump. Will Trump deport him? I can't believe these are words I'm saying in the year of 2025, but this is it. And then trade deals. This is the month we find out what these pesky trade deals will be with other countries. Do you need to buy a car, a laptop, produce? It might change prices pretty soon. All these stories and more we're going to dive into right now on The Rush. Okay, before we get into the Justin Baldoni story, which is actually very interesting, hang tight for that. Let's play a little preview of tonight's premiere of Bachelor in Paradise. As I said, there will be a new showrunner. What does that mean? Well, is there new energy? Are they going to liven up this thing? Well, they brought Dale Moss back, if that's any indication. Have a listen.
Paradise is back.
I left my no drama llama at home. I'm trading the bob for a bikini.
Hey, I'm trying to fall in love here.
I may have caught footballs for a living, but catching hearts, that's a natural talent.
I'm here for the sparks, the kisses, and someone who gets my humor.
I'm looking for treasure on this beach.
I don't kiss, I smoochy poo.
Just a medium king looking for big love.
Ladies love a man who can express himself, right?
I'm back. You know what they say, cats have 9 lives.
You may not remember me, but after this, you'll never forget me.
I'm looking for the real deal and nothing less.
Hola, Costa Rica. Estoy listo para el amor.
I'm a southern boy with a shy streak.
No more shallow waters. I'm ready to get deep.
Here's to shooting your shot again.
Bachelor in Paradise season premiere July 7th on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Well, there it is. And by the way, they should be paying me for this promo, but they don't. In fact, I haven't heard back from anybody that I asked to do an interview. They literally could care less we exist. So go F themselves. Or hopefully it's good. I don't care. I'm not taking it personally. It's just like the show literally has done nothing to prove that it wants to stay on the air. But I will be objective. If it's good, I'll let you know. I am excited to see past folks we've interviewed, from Lexi to who's Justin Glaze. He's probably my favorite on the show. Kat Izzo, I always wish her well. And we'll have to see who does Dale end up with. Will he be showing off those nice toes of his? Well, speaking of showing off toes, before we get into Baldoni, how about this? Anyone traveling to Paris anytime soon? You can now swim in the Seine River. Have a listen.
A plunge in a body of water that's been off limits for more than a century. The River Seine opened for public swimming over the weekend. Whoa. Swimming in the Seine was banned in 1923 due to pollution and boat traffic. A $1.6 billion cleanup ahead of last year's Olympics turned things around. Would you get in?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Have you seen some of the... I've swum... I don't trust any body of water where we live. I'm from Newport, Rhode Island. We have a thing called red tide. Do you know what's in red tide? Me neither. But I'm telling you what, it makes your crotch itch. But that's college for you. All right, let's move it along here. Oh, actually, sad story. I wanted to share this. Julian McMahon passed away, dead at 56. I remember him from Nip Tuck, but he was in a bunch of projects. Fantastic Four, Charmed. I guess he was battling cancer, and he passed away this past Wednesday. his wife Kelly had announced. They reported on Deadline. They released a statement. Julian loved life. He loved his family, he loved his friends, he loved his work, and he loved his fans. His deepest wish was to bring joy into as many lives as possible. And then they asked for privacy. I mean, you might remember, by the way, Nip Tuck was a fantastic show. Wasn't that a great show? So you just hate to see it. 56, that is very young. Let's move on to Love Island. Have you been following Love Island? I got to tell you what, I watch like 1 out of every 7 episodes because they have episodes every night. It's unbelievable. Can we get like a Xanax for whoever's editing this show or an Adderall? I don't know what they need. Love Island USA, Sierra Ortega, her parents had to respond after her racist posts were leaked. Or I should say exposed. She got kicked off the show after old posts of her using racial slurs against Asians went viral. Her family has her full support, backing her up as she goes through the scandal. Now, we've dealt with this a million times in Bachelor Nation, and basically what I say is like, look, you're held accountable for what you've said in the past, and what audience want to do with that information is really up to them. I hope that people evolve and grow from whatever time-stamped, racism or misogyny or whatever they had said in the past. But at the same time, if it's out there, you're held accountable to it. But again, should it lead to death threats and things like that? I don't think so. So Sierra's parents had actually posted this on her Instagram. As Sierra's parents, this has been one of the most painful weeks of our lives. We've seen the posts, the headlines, the hurt, and the hate. And while Sierra hasn't seen any of it yet, we have, and so have the people who love her. Well, my thought is this. If she hasn't seen it, let it ride out. Like, what people don't understand is the internet's a vicious place, but if you actually turn off your internet, just hit that button, put it on airplane mode, try to do better. Don't live in an echo chamber and don't be a terrible person. But you can't possibly fathom the amount of hate that comes in from people, and you can't negotiate with it. So the best thing to do is just let it die down. But they speak of the threats and the cruel messages, the attacks on her family, her friends, and her supporters. It's heartbreaking. It's uncalled for. She's not in the villa anymore, but she's still away. She hasn't had the chance to process any of this or speak for herself, but we know our daughter, we know her heart, and when she returns, we believe she'll face this with honesty, growth, and grace. Well, that's all you can hope for, right? Is that you speak towards things you've said in the past and say, I'm a better person. Prove that, not with your words, but your actions. And I don't know what else to say other than, it's like, I bet you half the people that are, calling her out have their own checkered past. People don't even remember some of the hateful or, racist or misogynist, people, it's there's no excuse for it. But at the same time, we live in a world now where people's timestamp messages just live out there. And there's plenty of people that I'm sure also were ignorant, racist, and all that things. You get what I'm trying to say. It's a tough subject to speak about because it would be easy to say, oh yeah, that person's awful, cancel them for life. But is she a better person now? Is she going to grow from it? And that's really what's more important. Well, here's the interesting story. Ryan Reynolds calling the shots in Blake Lively's fight against Baldoni lawsuit, says the source. This story coming next. Let's be real. No one likes calling their insurance provider to see if their medication is covered, especially not for GLP-1s like Ozempic or Wegovy. Roe's Insurance Checker lets you know if you're covered for GLP-1s for free. If you're eligible and want to see if you're covered, all you have to do is submit your insurance card and Roe will take care of the rest. No paperwork, no negotiating, no waiting on hold. Roe members have support throughout the process. You'll have access to your provider on demand for any questions. So join the over 350,000 people who've trusted Roe to check their coverage for free. Go to roe.co/rushhour for your free insurance check. That's ro.co/rushhour to see if your insurance covers GLP-1s for free. Go to roe.co/safety for black box warning and full safety information about GLP-1 medications. And now back to the show. Ryan Reynolds has reportedly been making the calls in Blake Lively's lawsuit against her It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni. The long-standing legal case has been at the center of public attention for quite some time now. Recently, media personalities such as Perez Hilton and Candace Owens have allegedly been subpoenaed. Well, it wasn't allegedly. They have been subpoenaed in the legal case against Baldoni. As reported by Rob Shooter's Shooter Scoop, the idea came from none other than the Gossip Girl alum's husband, Reynolds. He's focused on taking back the narrative in Baldoni lawsuit drama, says the source. Now, this is nothing shocking to read about, but, is there any information from the source that points to, which aspects of the case have Ryan Reynolds' fingerprints? That's what would be interesting. And also, who's leaking this? Is it someone from Blake Lively's camp? Are they trying to take the target off of Blake and put it onto Ryan? Because is he too big to fail? So the source says this was his idea. He's pulling the strings now. A well-placed insider further claimed Ryan's convinced the whole scandal was a media hit job. They added, he told Blake, stop defending yourself and start fighting back. According to sources, Ryan is quite focused on the legal case involving Blake and Justin. Another insider said that the Marvel actor is treating this like a movie. Storyboards, strategy, damage control. This isn't just about justice. It's about taking back the narrative. The source further claimed that this is about power and Ryan's making sure they keep it. So, what does this mean when it comes to keeping the power? Well, I'll tell you what, articles like this certainly help. This came out this morning. Blake Lively versus the misogyny slop ecosystem. Now, we covered this months ago. You could spot this from a mile away, that when you're going to cover a man versus a woman in a case that's public like this, you're going to get called certain words. That's just what's going to happen. It doesn't mean you are a misogynist because you're covering it. Some people might be. There's plenty of misogyny out there. But you can't just use the capital M word, misogyny, and then not be able to critically think about what is going into this case as far as who's actually the power structure here. So if it is a case built on misogyny, couldn't you argue that misogyny is Ryan Reynolds sticking his foot in it? Couldn't it be Ryan Reynolds, the real masculine patriarch that says, I'm going to take control. We're going to make storyboards and cartoons, of how we're going to craft our story. So they kind of get into, I'm not going to read it for you, all of it at least, but they bring up the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which is nauseating to bring up because say what you want about that trial, but Amber Heard lied about things. She flat out lied in her deposition. Could Johnny Depp have been an abusive guy? He could have been all these things, but they didn't prove it in the court. The jury agreed that didn't happen, at least with any evidence that they presented. And, obviously, TikTok and short form media, they did a number on Amber Heard. Like, you're always going to get that from the internet. People are going to be crazy. They're going to jump. I mean, I remember Lance Bass made this thing mocking Amber Heard. And it's like, I'm not here to mock domestic violence whatsoever, whether it happened or it didn't. We're not here to mock any of this. We're not here to mock Baldoni in the accusations of harassment. We're here to get down to the truth, right? So they bring up the YouTuber Ofi Doki, who called this the misogyny slop ecosystem, which I have to say is a pretty banger title. I mean, it's good marketing, but is that true? I think you could look at any story in the history of mankind that involves a woman, and there'll be a misogynistic element to at least the people that comment on it, the audience. And there'll be content creators that are also misogynistic, absolutely. But does that mean it's the ecosystem? When you talk about an ecosystem, you're talking about the money that comes. Like, and again, there was a time where they were trying to write a hit piece kind of against me, Business Insider, and I knew it was a hit piece. And I saved I think the journalist knows I saved a copy of the conversation, which I've got, which by the way I should share with people. But the amount of leading questions they asked about how much money are you making covering this? It's like, sure, yeah, we make money. You click, I get, I make my money, and it's good money, but it was good money before this and it'll be good money after this. It's good money because people are okay with my opinion. They know that I'm being authentic, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. That's why my channel's successful. And I would estimate that that's why a lot of people's channels are successful, because they see you as somebody that they can have a conversation with. It is a conversation. I talk to you, you leave a comment, we go back and forth. That's how it works. Is that a sloppy ecosystem? Not on my watch. Will that exist out there? Sure. So there's so much information on the internet, regardless of what you're covering, that you can formulate and use confirmation bias to pluck and pick, and cut however you want to frame a story. And they're going to frame this as a story of misogyny for the people that think Blake Lively made up all of her claims. I reject that. I think so many people on the internet reject that. Is it a little too late to call this all misogyny? Will this stop content creators from covering the story? I don't think so. All right. Speaking of misogyny, or maybe it's not misogyny, I don't know what it is, but the Elon Musk versus Donald Trump story is ongoing. It's the telenovela nobody asked for, but you can't turn away. And Elon has reached his final straw. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be the next video. I'm breaking these up into part 1 and part 2. If you're listening audio only, that story's coming next.